Hello, everyone. It's getting all close to the start time. I'm just going to wait a little bit longer because people are still joining the webinar. If you do have questions and you want to ask those questions, you can just, there is a chat function. So I will not be able to hear you, but you can use the chat function and ask questions. There's a Q&A section as well. So either one of those will work. I'll be able to check those. And if you're having sound issues, it is likely on your side. The sound has been tested, and so maybe there's a speaker issue on your side. We will be recording this session, and we will be providing you with a link to download the presentation. So if for some reason there is something that happens on your end that you can't see it, you will be able to watch it again once we send you the link. Okay. So people are still joining, so I'm just going to wait just a little bit longer. Okay, we won't make the ones that have come in on time wait any longer. Those others that join later will be able to have access to the recording, like I mentioned, that we're going to send out. So in the meantime, let's get started with the CareClean webinar. Thank you very much for joining. I appreciate your time, and I will make this as effective as possible for you to learn about. If you've never seen CareClean, you're going to get a foundation of what CareClean's about. Plus, I'm going to discuss what the new features that we just launched last week are about and how you can take advantage of them if you are one of the current users of our software. Okay, so let's get started. One of the things that like I said, I'm going to start as if you've never heard or seen CareClean before. And one of the things you're going to notice about the software is that it is very similar in kind of the bones of the software to maintenance care. If you know what maintenance care is all about, you're going to recognize CareClean. And CareClean was created basically by our customers who asked for us to be able to use housekeeping workflows within maintenance care, and they wanted some specific tools and features that we couldn't really build within the maintenance workflow. It didn't really make sense. So what we did is we decided, let's create a software specifically for housekeeping, and let's really make it about that workflow on a day-to-day basis. So one of the things that we noticed right off the bat is that unlike maintenance care, although the maintenance care mobile app is a very significant app that you use on a daily basis, for housekeeping staff compared to maintenance, they sometimes go back to their maintenance shop and they can work the computer and use the browser interface. Whereas for housekeeping, it is pretty much exclusive interaction with an app. And because they're on the floor and they're cleaning rooms and they're not going back anywhere to record any of this stuff. So it's better for us to focus a lot of our attention to the app to make sure that they're getting that connectivity right then and there as they're working and cleaning those rooms. Okay, so that's where I'm going to start. Is I'm going to show you what they're going to see, what the housekeeping staff are going to see on a daily basis as they go into the CareClean app. Okay, so let's take a look at my phone here, and what you're going to you see on the right side here. Let's go back to the app. On the right side, you'll see the CareClean logo on the bottom right. And if I open that up, I will get logged into my account. Now, there's a couple of tabs that are significant for the housekeepers here that you're going to notice. And the number one tab I want to show you is actually the calendar view. And this is really, really handy if you have new staff or if you have ever-changing calendars or schedules for your housekeeping, because they're going to see right then and there on their calendar shift what rooms they need to do in a calendar view, just like any other app with a calendar. What you'll notice is between 8 and 9 a.m. I have to clean room 101 to 105, and between 9 I have to do all these other rooms. And again, this might be a loaded schedule. This seems like almost impossible to clean all these rooms in that small amount of time, but you get the idea that you're going to be creating these scheduled windows and putting what rooms they're supposed to be doing within the windows. And I can see that from here. Okay. Now, what are the color differences? Well, basically the blue tells me that these rooms have started. Like I've already started cleaning some of these rooms. So it's kind of like a pending, if you know maintenance care, it's that same type of in progress room cleaning. Whereas the yellow ones are coming up. They haven't been yet put into my list, but I know they're going to be in my list at 2 o'clock. I'm going to have to start cleaning on these. Now, why do I have two shift windows at the same time for two different things? Well, maybe because I'm seeing everybody's schedule here. So in my top right corner in the filter, I can say I only want to see the rooms that are assigned to me as this particular user and housekeeper. So I can then select that, and that's only going to show the shifts that are accessible by me. So you can see, oh, now the other ones have disappeared. So that's why I had them all showing, so you can take a look at what, you know, a full schedule would typically look like. So that filter allows you to see what you're doing and what your coworkers are doing, and so you make sure everything is covered. And you can go from day to day. You can go, you know, the previous day, you can go the next day, and you can see what's coming up. And it's a really handy view to view all of that stuff. Okay, so that's the first thing you see when you get into the app. The second thing, which, you know, is probably the place where all the housekeepers are going to spend the majority of their time, is in the Rooms tab. So here we've really simplified it. We've simplified it so that it's very easy for them to see what rooms need to be cleaned today, and then start cleaning them with just the tap of one of the rooms as you go through it. So let's take a look. Let's say at room 104 as the first example. I can see right here on my list, room 104 is a quick cleaning. It's due today. And if I just tap on the top part of it, it's going to ask me, do you want to start working on this room? And I'm going to say yes. I'm going to go right into it. And that's as easy as it is. I can then cancel out of this because now I actually have to clean the room. And what you're going to notice is you're going to see that in that particular room, there's a little orange clock, which means there's a timer running. Okay, so that's what that means. And now, some of our customers, they've said to us, well, we don't always use the timer. You know, it's more about just getting it done. We're not too concerned about the time, and that's fine. You know, what they found it handy for, if you don't want to time every single room, is they can do, for example, time studies for a week time or a month. They say, okay, this week we're going to do a time study, and everybody's going to track their time, and we're going to, you know, see whether you're overloaded or, you know, where we can maximize our efficiencies in which part of the building. So you are looking and maybe sometimes using it in order to get that information, or using it all the time. It's there, and now the clock is ticking away. Okay. So what are the advantages of this? Well, first off, we've created these kind of other types of workflows that prevent, you know, from the housekeeper, let's say, to start another room while the timer is still ticking in room 104. So let's say I forget that there was a timer going in 104, and I go to room 105, and I'm going to just start that room. So it's going to say, do you want to start that room? Yes. Now it's going to give me an error. It's because you have not finished room 104. Oh yeah, I did. I just forgot to stop the timer. So this is a really good fail-safe in that purpose, and that, you know, it'll remind you for that process. So let's go back into that room, and it's going to ask me, do you want to mark this room as done, or do you want to edit it? Let's just mark it as done. It's going to say yes, and now you can say that room is done. And so you can see that little checkbox has appeared. So really easy workflow, right? I just tapped on a room, started, went and did my cleaning, and then I come back here and close it, and the timer stops, and it's done. So it's a really, it has to be easy. You know, this can be something that's going to slow them down, but it's going to start to capture really important information for you and your team. Now, again, in the top right corner, you can see I have the same filter options. And here I can see tasks that are just assigned to me. I can see tasks in the different stages. Are they, you know, things that I need to do today? Or if I want to see all of my different tasks or rooms that I need to clean, you can see even the ones that are done have little check boxes. They'll still be there. But if I don't want to see them, if I don't want them on my list, once they're done, I just want them to disappear, I can change that stage and move it, and all those ones will disappear. So that's how that works. Pretty simple for them to navigate. Okay. Now, one of the things that you'll notice about the software is on the top left corner, there's a scan button. So what is that about? Well, we've made it easy. If you want to track that, you want to make sure that the housekeeper is going to the room and actually showing up and scanning that particular, going into that room to cleaning, and not just saying they're starting the clock when they're, not that they would do this, but let's say that, whenever they're in any part of the building. So you want to actually put some kind of a scanning capability within that room that they have to scan in order to mark their presence, that they're actually in the room. So what we've implemented is a QR code system that allows you to, for every room that you create, have a QR code. Okay, so in room 203, we're going to start. You can see there's a little QR code there. And so if I go back to my app, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that scan button, and I'm going to scan it right on my own computer here, so you can see what that looks like. So let's press that scan button. And it's going to go fast because I'm going to press it, and then you're going to see the screen come up. And as I scroll up to that QR code, now it says this scan is in progress, and that room has gotten started. So there's room 203 right there in my list. And now you can see that clock is showing up. So what you're getting, again, you would do this in a physical environment, not just on your computer, but that QR code could be behind a little piece of plastic somewhere in the room. housekeeper shows up, scans that QR code, and you get started with the cleaning. And that's as easy as it gets. Okay, so that is these so far have just been quick cleanings. That's what we've been working through, is the ability to just open up a task and a room cleaning and just mark it as done, and that's it. So you have that capability. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to mark this one as done, press save, and you can see that it's done. All right. So that's the first option of what you can do. But there are other ways you can actually create different schedules for this. So you don't have to do these quick cleanings only. You can actually have more extensive questionnaires that are linked to the cleaning process. So what does that mean? Let's look at room 101. I believe that's one that has more questions. There we go. So you can create these types of audits that force the housekeeper to answer specifically the key areas of cleaning where that need to be addressed for that particular room. So in this case, were the toilets clean? Is the sink clean? Did you clean the floor? And so on. So you can actually force them to have to answer each of the questions to make sure I've covered these areas. And then when I press done, now finally I've completed that particular cleaning. So you have a choice. You could just do a quick checkbox, done, or you can create your own audits and questionnaires through that process. Okay, so hopefully this is starting to make sense to you, that it's an easy process for the housekeeper. They just got their calendar view, they've got their rooms, and they just work through their list. Really, really simple. And of course, if you're familiar with maintenance care, you know that sometimes you need to create what we call ad hocs or maintenance requests that just come up. Well, you could do the same thing for CareClean. You can create just things that come up on a daily basis, and you could click that on the add button in the bottom left corner of the app. And here you can submit just a request for that particular room or anything that the housekeeper notices around that building in order to take action on it later. This could be even for a manager who needs to create, let's say, a room changeover. So as a manager who has access to the app, okay, room 201 needs to be created. You can go ahead and you can create a room changeover if, let's say, you need more than just a regular cleaning for that particular space. So you can do that right from here easily, right from the app, and just execute on that. And the housekeeper and whoever is going to be assigned to it, you can actually get them to be notified to say, this is going to go to that person and they're going to be in charge of it. Okay. So as you can see, I started on the app because this is what the core is going to be for the housekeeping staff. And hopefully you're getting the idea of the simplicity. That's what we focused on. But now let's take a look. We're going to keep going. We're going to look at the actual interface here, the browser version of what the manager will see and how we're going to schedule your staff and so on. So let's take a look at that. So the actual screen right now you should be looking at is the Edit Rooms Details page. And if you're familiar with maintenance care, this looks very similar. Like I said, it's kind of built on the bones of maintenance care with some additional specific features that are applicable to CareClean. And one of the things that we've added to here is the ability to view room history right then and there on that room profile. So what does that mean? So right now I'm just seeing this is room 203. There's a QR code, and I can look down here and see the history. So if I click on that, it's going to show me every time there was a cleaning scheduled and whether it was done or not done, right? So this is a really fast way. If anybody calls you, if you have a resident or somebody that says, did you clean this room? You can come here and look at it and say, it was done on this date by this person, this particular housekeeper, and it was done. So you can see that really quickly just from the room profile. So it's very, very handy. Okay. So what we're going to take a look at now is how do you schedule your entire housekeeping staff easily. All right. So one of the advantages of using our software in maintenance care, as you know, is that we'll set up all your preventative maintenance for you. Even if you already have one plan, we will put that into the system for you. The same exists for your schedule of your housekeepers. When you get started with CareClean, we're going to be creating that schedule for you with you, but we're going to do most of the work as long as we can understand it. And we're going to put everything in here so that it's ready for when you're starting. Now you'll have full access to changing it, but I'm going to show you how easy it is to create that schedule. So this is typically a screen only accessible by your management team, right? The people that are allowed to schedule. So if a housekeeper does have access to the desktop version, they would not see this tab unless you wanted them to. So this is your schedule, and this is where you build it. And as you can see, I've got a full schedule, right? And let me zoom in a little bit so you can see it a little bit bigger. But if I hover over these what we call shift windows, you'll see the details of that shift window. So between 8 a.m. and 12 p.m., I should be cleaning these rooms, and so on, right? So you can see quickly what each of the housekeepers are working on. Now, if I just want to see a particular housekeeper, I can filter that from here as well. So let's say I just want to see Rose's schedule. I can choose to do that, and there is Rose's schedule. So very easy, right? And you can start to build the schedule from there. So you can start to make sure that they have all the rooms taken care of. Now, here's a new feature we've added as part of this process, and what we call it is our stats view. Okay, so what does this mean? So let's say I filter to a certain time period. So right now I'm seeing 1 week's worth of work for a particular housekeeper, Rose. Okay, and I click on the stats button. What it's going to give me is every time duration that I've allotted for that shift window and a total at the bottom. This is really handy to make sure, maybe you don't want overtime, or maybe you want to make sure you fill up their schedule. You need 6.5 hours of cleaning time per day, or whatever it is. You start to build that according to their shift windows, and this will give you a total of what you're seeing here on the screen. So this is Rose's schedule. But let's say I remove Rose from here. Okay, so I'm going to actually remove Rose and just see everybody, and I click that stats button again. Now I can see all my housekeepers, and see these are kind of drop downs. They just kind of summarize the information, but I can see how much time Johnny is scheduled compared to Rose, and you can start to rework the schedule according to being fair on their hours or whatever you're looking to do. So that stats button is going to become very handy for you to build your schedule effectively. Another thing that we've given you the ability to do that I think is quite useful is actually a suggestion by one of our customers, and it was the ability to reassign shifts easily in the future, because maybe somebody's taking time off, or maybe somebody called in sick, or maybe the shifts rotate on a regular basis. So maybe this week I clean room 101 to 105, but next week somebody else cleans those rooms. So here's how we've handled it. Let's say in this case somebody called in sick or is going on vacation, and we're going to actually click on these windows and we're going to reassign them to somebody. So just by highlighting each of these shifts, I can then reassign them to another user easily, and and I can select who that person should be, and I'll press OK, and that will reassign every single one of those windows just for that particular instance. So the next week after, it goes back to the default, whoever should have been assigned initially. So it'll be a really easy way for you to have full command over your schedule without a lot of work. It's really quickly that you can get to that. Now, if you do want to schedule a shift, all you have to do is click in the open space and highlight it. So let's say this is between 12 and 2, so a 2-hour period. Oops, that's in the past, so you can't do that. So you have to do it in the future. So let's do this one. And so now it's going to pop up your shift details. And here you can create, you can say, okay, this is going to be for a full cleaning for these rooms. And see the 2-hour period. It's already told me this is going to be a 2-hour section. If you want to add an audit question list, like, like clean the bathroom, clean the floor, you can add it right here. You have a list of all your questionnaires that you can build right from your management area. That's called checklist. So you can build whatever checklist you want. Or if you want just more than just one room, you want a grouping of rooms. So let's say I'm going to pick like a full cleaning questionnaire for these particular offices. So you can just link that and create that particular shift. Okay, so that's really, really easy. Now, one of the things that we've added as well on this new update is the review feature. Okay, so what this is again, this was a suggestion by our customer. It happens quite often that after the housekeeper has cleaned the room, that they have to, somebody has to come in and inspect it. Now, not in every instance, but maybe in certain instances, this is what you'd like the workflow to be. So by checking this box off, what it will do is that the next time this particular shift window is triggered into that housekeeper's list, after the housekeeper has marked it as done, it will then send it and escalate it to a manager or somebody who's an inspector who can then go inspect that room and approve it or reject it. Okay, so you have that full capability within this workflow by just checking on this. There's other ways you can trigger that review, but that's one of the easy ways that you can do that. Now, you can also set the frequency of the shift. So maybe this happens if you're familiar with maintenance care, this has some of the same features here every Monday in all the months, right? So this is when this particular shift window cleaning will occur for this particular housekeeping because we're a housekeeper, because we're going to assign it to that particular person. So this is by default is always going to be Rose that's going to do those offices for the 2 hours during that time period. But again, you can easily reassign that if you need to, just for certain periods of time. Okay. So the good news, like I mentioned, is that we will help you schedule your initial team. That's what we'll help you set up if you want us to. If you want to do it yourself, many of our customers like to do it themselves, they can, but we can help you set it up. And then that way you won't have all this work to get started, and then you can then modify it as you need as time goes on. Okay. So that is how you would schedule your team pretty easily right from the scheduling tab of CareClean. Now, one of the aspects that I mentioned earlier, obviously, was that the app is the kind of the driving force for your housekeeping team. But for managers, maybe they're not on their app, they want to be at their desk and they want to see the status of things as time goes on just from their browser. Well, the same that they can do here, right from what we call the task list. And you can see every room by cleaning, and you can see the stage of that room. Is it done? Is it still left to be done, right? Is it to do? And there's other stages that we're going to take a look at. But that is one of the major advantages for you, is that you can search all of the different stages right from here. You can see which ones are in the review stage, which ones are to be redone, and so on within a certain time period. And you can easily see it again by housekeeper if you want to see that right from here. This is live data. This is what's going on right now in Rose's calendar and workflow. So you're able to to take a look at it live and know which rooms are ready. Maybe if you have a resort or hospitality building, then you're going to say room 104 is ready to occupy. But if it's a different situation where it's maybe in senior care and you need to make sure that the rooms are being cleaned on time, you're able to see that right here. In your calendar view, you can also see a live environment of what's happening. And here the advantage, this is just like your scheduler, but this actually gives you live data of what's going on. And if you don't want to see the stuff that's coming up in the future, you can just see the actual rooms that have what's been going on in your team's list. And anything that's gray is going to be closed. That's how you know it's gray. It means it's closed. Anything blue means it's being worked on, and green hasn't even been started. So that's what that means, and you'll be able to take a look at that in a visual way if you'd prefer. Okay. And again, you can do the same type of filtering here at the top by housekeeper and so on. When you look inside one of the rooms and you want to take a look and see, okay, let's look at the details of that particular room. Here you can see, because we've grouped certain actual rooms within that window, they're all grouped here in your details for that room cleaning. 105 is a room that we still need to get done. You can see here that it's not done yet. You can see the rooms that have been done and how long it took us, and only took us a minute there. These were really fast cleanings, 2 minutes, 1 minute. And you're seeing the total amount of time so far that this particular shift window has taken up based on each individual room cleaning. It'll add that up for you, okay? And so here you're able to, if you need to yourself change that room status, you can actually close that particular room and do that. You can affect that change the same way as they can on the app, okay? Now, let's say somebody calls in sick, and we talked about reassigning the shifts before they go off to the right housekeeper. But let's say the person calls in sick and the rooms have already been triggered to the housekeeper, and so now it's useless to go and change the schedule because it's already in the one other housekeeper's task list. What you can do is you can come here as a manager and remove and add rooms on the fly. So if you want to remove certain rooms, you can do that. So let's say we remove room 204, but we're going to add room 103. And so now you've just changed that particular housekeeper's shift window on the fly. And the same questions, if you have multiple questions, will apply to that workflow. And at that point, they can mark it as done once they're done. So once that room, that entire cleaning, you can see that their list is now starting to look pretty good, right? It's starting to close those particular cleanings. So hopefully this is making sense to you, again, from a manager's perspective compared to a housekeeper's perspective, okay? So one of the things that I mentioned, and I'm going to try to see if I can find you one here, and it is the ability to see if there's any tasks under review. So I don't know if I have any in my list here. Let me see if I can trigger one. Let's see here. What we're trying to do is show you the auditing process, but unfortunately, I don't know that I've forced one for review on my list, so I don't know that any of these will trigger that process. So I um, might need to create one from the start. But the point is oh yeah, so this is the other thing I was going to show. So on part of the question list that you can ask, remember we talked about having the ability to do multiple questions for multiple rooms. You can see the answers right from here as well. All right, so you can actually see whether they've done all of the individual rooms, specific points of that particular room, and now that particular room has been completed. So if they've answered only part of it, you would see that information here if they're not completed fully, and you would be able to take a look at that and audit that perspective as well. Okay, so that is the room processing for you from a manager's perspective, the ability to see all of that information. Now, before I keep going, I just want to ask if anybody's got any questions. You can put them into your question chat here at the top of the webinar controls, and I'll just wait a second to see if anybody's got any particular questions that they want to ask before I move on to the next sections. Anybody have any questions that they want to ask? Well, that means we're covering everything we need to cover, so that is good. All right, so I am going to keep going and just cover a couple more things. Just like in maintenance care, we do have the ability for you to track your stock and inventory. And so here, the advantage. Oh, I see a question here. Okay, so somebody saying no, they don't have any questions. So all right, so that's good. So so you can see that you can track your stock and inventory for cleaning supplies. Really easy. You can create different profiles to see those cleaning supplies. You can open that up, let's say toilet paper rolls, and see what do you normally reorder. You'll reorder 25 of them, and so when it gets below 10, that's typically when you want to reorder them. And you can see that you have 20 in stock right now, and it costs you $10.99 typically in order for you to to see that, the differences in the stock versus what you have. So then you also have the ability to see every time there was an adjustment made to the stock, whether it was stock being used or stock being purchased. You will see all the details of that at the bottom, and you can add and remove stock easily here just by clicking on any of these buttons, and all your defaults will show up. So you will see, I typically order 25 from this particular vendor. If you had a default vendor, they would come up in your list, and so you can order right from that particular vendor all the time. Okay. And so there is a question, and the question is, are there any features in the manager window not available in the phone app? Absolutely, yes. You can't schedule from the phone app. Like, you can create an ad hoc request right then and there, but you can't do your entire team schedule on the app. And you also, excuse me, you also cannot order stock from the app. So those all have to be done on the browser. The app focuses on the housekeeping workflow, which is basically managing my rooms, closing them, and seeing that process take place from the housekeeping perspective. Okay, so that is the stock management, and then the other part of the management is obviously your contractors or vendors that are specific for your cleaning team. You can keep a list right here, which are very easily accessible, and you can create all their profiles right from here. That is typically what I cover in the presentation for CareClean. And I guess what I'd like to add, kind of talk about a little bit is pricing, so that you get an idea of how we price CareClean. So one of the things that people that use maintenance care are quite aware of is that in the 20 years that maintenance care has been around, we've never increased our price on our existing customer base. And the same holds true for CareClean. But that being said, new customers do pay a new price, the ongoing price. As inflation rises, we increase our price like any other costs of doing business. And so in this case, CareClean right now is at the lowest that it's ever going to be. Okay. And as we add new features and new tools to the software, let's say in a year, in 2 years, the price might go up for new customers. But if you lock in now as an existing customer, you get that price. And so that's the advantage of coming in early, because CareClean is about a year and a half old. It's at its lowest price it's ever going to be. The price is about to go up in a few months because we did add all these new features, and it is part of our plan to upgrade the pricing a little bit. And so if you do want to utilize CareClean, now's the time to get in if you want to reserve that price. If you are a maintenance care customer, you actually get a discount bundled pricing. So that's a huge advantage. You get that benefit for being a maintenance care customer. And there will be some integration that will even take place a little further within the software. And so one of them has to do with the ability to do single login between the two applications. So if you go here to the top right corner, you're going to be able to jump between maintenance care and CareClean and back, and without having to log in and log out. If you have access to both accounts as a manager or whoever your role is, if it's dual role, you'll be able to go back and forth between the two right from here. Another point of integration will be the ability to submit a maintenance request in maintenance care, but then maybe somebody submitted saying there's water on the ground, and so okay, that goes to maintenance for the plumbing fix, but somebody's got to clean the water, and that's housekeeping, and that request can then be transferred from maintenance care to CareClean seamlessly. So those two things are actually, those 2 points of integrations are coming. They're being worked on now, and those are in the near future. But in this new update of CareClean, all of these other tools that we've built are available right now. So if you go into CareClean now, you get access to that. Okay. Any AI integration coming? So, well, I don't want to too much speak about AI because it is a big part of our at least maintenance care plans, and that has to do with a lot of different points of order. We have an article coming out soon. If you subscribe to our blog, we have an article coming out soon to talk about how maintenance care and all of our software that we build are going to take advantage of AI. So the answer in overall is yes, we are. And there's going to be 4 or 5 major points of view that you're going to be able to take advantage of that. And it's coming very soon. It's coming very soon. So that is the exciting new launch of upgrades on CareClean. If you have any more questions and I didn't answer them in this particular session, feel free to use our chat, which is always located, whether it's in maintenance care or CareClean, under the online wiki help. When you click on that, you will get to a user guide of the software. Sorry, I pressed on the wrong button. You want the support button. So you click on the support button, and that support button will take you to our live chat function. So here you can talk to our live team, or you can just email. If you have questions, you can just fill out the form. And so that will allow you to ask further questions if you want at that time. And like I mentioned, we are going to send a recording of this presentation, so you have it on file if you want to review it with any other members of your team. Okay, so I'm going to give it 5 more minutes here. If you have any more questions, happy to answer them. And I'll just wait here for those of you who are tight on time. I try to keep this within half an hour, so hopefully this works for you. And you can go obviously at any time, but if you want to stick around, if anybody else has any questions, we'll just wait another 5 minutes. I don't see any more questions coming in. So with that, I will say thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and we will be here if you have any information that you're looking for. And I guess we will stop at this point. All right. Thanks, everyone. You have a great day. Bye-bye.